Buzz.
We'll hear from MDEM. Is anybody from MDEM here? Welcome.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much for having me. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Anna Sierra. I'm the Assistant Secretary for Strategy and External Affairs at the Department of Emergency Management, and I bring greetings from Secretary Strickland. Unfortunately, couldn't make it this weekend, so he has sent me. Handily, I'm only about 30 minutes down the road. I live right here on the shore, so nice. Welcome. We have a few updates for the committee today. The first is that starting December 8th, we will be entering our 8th annual Winter Safety Week. This is a week where we highlight the dangers of travel during winter in particular. We partner with the Department of Transportation and the National Weather Service. So we ask that any of your companies or organizations who may have social media accounts keep an eye out for our messaging. Please boost it, share it, add to it with your own messages for your own communities. We understand that this is a dangerous time around Christmas and New Year's to be on the roads, and as much as we can get these safety messages out to our communities, the better off we'll be. We also have a request from the National Emergency Management Association. This is a trade organization that represents state emergency management directors. They reached out earlier this week regarding a recent IAFC publication, particularly related to EMAC, Emergency Management Assistance Compact. That's a national compact where every state has ratified that allows us to share resources in the event of a disaster. So that's how we send fire companies, like the volunteers here, to places like North Carolina for Hurricane Helene. That's how we cover liability, we arrange reimbursement. That's the system that allows us to do that. Unfortunately, it's a mouthful, man. IAFC publication had a couple of elements that were either just purely incorrect or maybe misinformed. And so the National Emergency Management Association has asked our state offices to reach out to our friends in the fire service just to clarify a couple of areas that were in this publication. Perhaps most specifically, there were two that I think volunteers would care about. One is that it was kind of asserted that there's no central mechanism for coordinating EMAC requests. And so that's a state-to-state request. If Maryland needs assistance, we put it out into a portal, and all the states can look at what we're asking for and then essentially bid with what they've got available to help. We accept that as the state, and then those resources come. The publication indicated that that was not centrally managed, and it is. There is a really good, well-established process for managing EMAC state to state. The other major kind of misinformation piece was that often states will await federal reimbursement in order to do the EMAC reimbursement. So if Maryland sends resources to places like North Carolina, we tell North Carolina how much that's going to cost, and then we agree on a rate. Once that deployment is over, then the state starts processing the payment for that service. And they do that all in one shot so that they're not doing that multiple times if we send multiple rounds of resources. So it can take some time, but they're not waiting on federal reimbursement. Federal reimbursement for disaster assistance can take years, and that is not what states wait for. So we want to be clear as we can be on the EMAC process. We at MDEM offer training on that, so if there's interest from county associations who want to know more about the EMAC process, please feel free to reach out either to your local emergency manager, your county emergency management office, or to us. We can provide the training. I'm going to stay with the kind of national picture here just for a minute. I'm sure all of you have seen in the news there's quite a lot of conversation about the future of FEMA and future of disaster assistance. We in Maryland, unfortunately, were denied disaster assistance for Western Maryland, which did impact a volunteer fire company who had damage. When volunteer fire companies or career fire companies are damaged, they're eligible for what's called public assistance if we meet a certain threshold under federal policy. Unfortunately, that policy seems to be changing, and so it won't be as predictable to understand when we'll get federal disaster assistance. That's something certainly MDEM is continuing to communicate frequently and strongly with our federal representatives, as well as directly with FEMA and the FEMA Review Council on the importance of disaster aid predictability after a disaster. Volunteer companies who have very strict budgets and they, and serve their communities need to know and understand how, if they're impacted, how their apparatus is going to get replaced, how their building's going to get resolved. In the past, we've relied on federal disaster assistance for that. And we are concerned that the changes are going to make that less predictable for everybody who depends on that, local government, state government, as well as eligible nonprofits like volunteer fire companies. Sticking with the grants, we are also closely monitoring some of the changes that are being made with the emergency management grants at the federal level. These will also, again, maybe not directly impact volunteer fire and career fire, but it will impact the state's kind of financial ability to provide some of the training that we provide and the pass-through money that goes to local governments to offset the cost of emergency management at the local level. Right now, we are there's several pending litigation, so I can't even really tell you where we are with these grants. We are awaiting court cases to be resolved. One very concerning thing is that the new grant money that's been released has reduced the period of performance for those grants. Usually we can use them over the space of 3 years. They have reduced it to 1. It's a reimbursement style grant and it's due to end in September of 2026, and they have not released the following years. So we are in a very unstable space from a federal grant perspective on the emergency management side. Some of the things that these grants pay for are things like Stop the Bleed training locally, IMT or related ICS classes. They pay for exercises, planning, the work that goes into making sure that your communities have a clear planning, training, and exercise for disasters. That is what this funding supports. So we will continue to advocate for that, and we'll continue to keep you posted if we anticipate any direct impacts. A bittersweet message from our Mission Support Directorate, Scott Gordon, who has been administering the VCAF and AMOS funds for many moons, is retiring at the end of the year. So we wish him the best. He has been an amazing public servant, and I know of all the work he does, he values working with the fire companies the most. He has told me that. Just us, where there's nobody else listening, he's really valued the time he spends and understands the importance of the work you all do and wanted to help. And so he is retiring. Jessica Wakefield will be taking over. That, I believe that's already been communicated with the committee that manages VCAF for MSFA. But in the event that there's any questions about that, you can always contact me. We also have some new leadership at the 911 board. Scott Haas has been elected as the chair of the 911 board. That happened in May. And so his dueling role as SEMSAC chair, he'll have quite a broad view of the state's emergency services. Tammy Price from Baltimore County is the vice chair. We will be moving into legislative session. Has been mentioned a couple of times. MDEM has no departmental bills this year, so we are just waiting to see what comes at us. It's already been a hot topic, as you might imagine. Emergency management, we've gotten lots of questions about funding sustainability and disaster recovery, but we haven't seen any bills yet that are going to be introduced. And then lastly, I have some updates from our response coordination branch. Most notably, we continue to coordinate the search and rescue STAR task force. And specifically, we're looking for an MSFA representative for that task force. So I will provide additional information on who we're looking for, maybe to Kate, so that we can see who might want to represent MSFA. Specifically looking for somebody with special operations experience and swiftwater, flood, and USAR in particular. So we want to make sure that MSFA is at the table, and that this group really looks at how Maryland manages search and rescue, how we organize resources, how we do that from a mutual aid perspective, and how we manage that at the state level. So. And then lastly, from our training and exercise division, we continue to provide all hazards, incident management training. FEMA's kind of pause on the Independent Study Portal and the National Emergency Training Center have been lifted, so those are both up and active. We are leveraging that, but we also have a number of staff that we're getting through Train the Trainers on a variety of classes so that we can be offering those more directly, particularly as we anticipate budgets and funding squeeze. We'll be able to do that in-house rather than going out to contractors to offer those classes. And those are the updates from the Department of Emergency Management. I am happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions by the members? I have one question. At one time, I believe the MSFA had a representative on the 911 board, and I was wondering if that is my mindset was that true? And then if so, do you know who that current representative is?
Brian Ebeling is no longer on the board. I will have to look. The membership changed a couple of years ago, and I know that changed. The specific language around the representative changed. I will get back to you.
Okay, just let us know if we need to provide you with someone.
Yes.
And the other question I had was that I recently printed this article out. It's what FEMA reform should look like for the fire service. Have you seen or had anything to do with this document as far as MDEM?
We didn't provide any information to it. Can you tell me the author?
The author of the article is Mark Bayshore.
Oh.
But it says breaking down.
I do know Chief Bayshore.
It says breaking down the Congressional Fire Service Institute National Advisory Committee's recommendations. And it talks about emergency support functions for firefighting. Talks about the Section 1's recommendations, 1 through 5, ensures that the U.S. Fire Administrator is not only elevated in the federal status, but also included in key decision-making. Recommendation 6 and 7 recognize the importance of the National Fire Academy and seek not only maintain, but also strengthen the National Fire Academy's training functions. Talks about recommendation 8 recognizes the importance of NERIS switch over and seeks to strengthen the focus on data security. And the last recommendation talks about resources and empowerment fulfill the investigative responsibilities that are part of the U.S. Fire Administration's mandates. And then it goes down a little more. It talks about wildland fire responses, search and rescue response, mutual aid response, reliance infrastructure, community preparedness. So anyway, your department is not aware of.
We did not participate in the development of that. What I will say is there have been a lot of articles similar because of the FEMA Review Council. Executive order put out in January established the FEMA Review Council. It is co-chaired by Secretary Pete Hegseth from the Department of Defense and Secretary Kristi Noem, and they are co-chairing this committee. There are a couple of state emergency management directors on it, and Maryland is not one of them, and they have had very minimal public comment or public participation. We do anticipate the recommendations from that review council coming out next week. There will be a public meeting to announce those recommendations on December 11th. I would actually really strongly encourage everyone to tune in or at least follow up on that, because I think the future of FEMA will heavily impact the fire service. Separately, but related, there's also the FEMA Act, which has been introduced in Congress. It's a bipartisan bill in the House that would establish FEMA as an independent agency. It would essentially go back to what it was prior to 9/11. So it would pull it out of the Department of Homeland Security. It would make it a cabinet level position, and it would do a lot of reform in the disaster aid section of statute, so the Stafford Act. I am not familiar in depth with the changes that it would recommend for the National Fire Academy or the USFA. But I think it's worth also investigating that and communicating with our congressional representatives if there are changes that you'd like to make. That FEMA Act may be an excellent vehicle for that. It's starting to get a lot of traction because of all the discourse about the future of FEMA and the future of federal disaster policy.
Okay, thank you. President Simpson. She needs a representative from the MSFA on the search and rescue.
Yes, sir.
So you need to hook up with her so we can take care of that.
Great.
And I'm sorry, the secretary needs your...
Sierra, like the Sierra Club, Sierra.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the members? I see past President Worthington and then past President Lewis.
Email came out this week about the 508 checks would be delayed for this quarter. Is that something, what's going on? Or?
So there was, we found a bit of an accounting error when we sent out checks. So some counties got overpaid and some counties got underpaid. So we are actively fixing that as we speak.
Okay. Is there a timeline?
Yep, so the communication's already gone out to the counties that were overpaid, asking for the return of the funds. We were processing, for those who got underpaid, we were processing the additional amounts.
So the ones that got overpaid should be no delay then?
Correct, they'll need to
Okay.
send the remaining funds back, but yes, they,
Okay.
yep.
You didn't take the money for Scott's retirement party?
We did not.
Is it being outlet level?
We can host it.
I know you can. Past President Lewis?
I just want to follow up on your comment, Mark. We were involved in national level through Congressional Fire Services Institute, CFSI, on the FEMA reform, and there's a paper actually I can provide to the committee here that we just came out with that was basically signed on by all the major organizations at the national level, including National Volunteer Fire Council, International Association of Fire Chiefs, IAFF, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we worked that through the National Advisory Committee to the CFSI, which I sit on for Cumberland Valley. So, basically addressing some of the things that we felt that need to change relative to USFA, the National Fire Academy, and a number of other things. So I don't know what Mark Bayshore's article said, but that's Mark's opinion. This is a consensus document of National Fire Service.
Okay. And then is the MVFC following the legislation she was talking about? You called it the FEMA Act.
Yeah,
Are you aware of
yes,
that?
yes, yeah, that's all part of this, yes.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Thank you very much for your time. Wish you a happy holiday and a safe New Year.
Thank you so much, you too.
The next is the Memorial Foundation. Bridget?
Dennis contacted me this morning and said that he did submit his report, but it wasn't until yesterday, so he just wanted me to go over a few quick highlights in case you guys had any questions. He wanted to let everyone know that the Phase 3 construction project is complete, except for the installation of the security system. He also wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that the intent is to refund the $200,000 loan from the organization at the February executive meeting, and having the funds allowed them to pay all the vendors the money within the 30 days of invoices that were received. A special thank you to Accokeek Volunteer Fire Department. They had a bingo event on November the 1st and presented the foundation with a check for $7,500. And we have been notified that both the CC Visa and the Reese Fire Department have set dates for bingos to support the foundation. And he is expecting that Winfield and Sykesville will also be hosting bingos as well. We just don't have the dates on those two as of yet. The CC Visas Cash Bingo is going to be held on February the 21st, and the location of that will be Reese Fire Department. He wants to thank everyone that attended the annual gala on September 27th. He was unable to attend because he had a recent surgery, but he wanted to say thank you to the gala committee and other foundation members that stepped to the plate to take his place and make it another successful event. And the date for 2026 has been confirmed, and it's going to be Saturday, September the 26th, 2026, at the Annapolis Doubletree. They held, they elected their officers for the upcoming year. Dennis will be remaining president. Steve Madragos will be vice president. Sharon will be staying in as secretary. Michelle will be staying in as treasurer. Bert Small and Tracy Ann Chrisman and Jeff Thorne will be the three directors that will be taking effect in the new year. A friendly reminder that you can go to the website and make donations and support the Buy a Brick program in honor, in memory, in recognition, in appreciation, and in support. The next meeting is scheduled for January 7th at 7 p.m. at West Annapolis. He did say that if there's going to be inclement weather or the snow emergency plan is in effect in Anne Arundel at 5 p.m., then they will transition it to a Zoom meeting as opposed to an in-person meeting. And that's all he sent me.
Are there any questions from the members? Any questions from anyone in the audience? Thank you.
Thank you.
Maryland Fire Chiefs Association?
Yes, do you mind if I give a report?
Absolutely not. Be very comfortable with yourself.
Thank you. Just a couple of things. I got some more. Number one, the December Leadership Conference that the Maryland Fire Chiefs normally sponsored every year for next weekend, of course, was canceled this year due to the loss of the SAFER grant. We're looking at different sources of funding, hoping to be able to put this on again next year. After the first of the year, the first two training sessions we normally have, the John Hoagland Seminar and the Falkingham, as of right now are being offered. Information should be out shortly after the first of the year on those. And other than normal things that take place in the associations, our next Board of Directors meeting, our next general membership meeting is January the 17th, 2026. Not sure of the place. And next Board of Directors meeting is March the 26th of 2026. Other than that, I have nothing else to report, sir.
Thank you. Are there any questions for the Maryland Fire Chiefs? Chief Phillips? Okay, we'll move on to our branch reports now. We'll start with the administrative branch, Constitution and Bylaws. Chip Jewell?
At this time, we've had no submission, no bylaws. There are a few areas that we've been asked to look into, so we'll keep you posted.
Thank you. We'll go to the Grants Committee, and they can talk about Cumberland Valley MVFC while he's up here.
Gracious me, okay. Dave Lewis reporting for the Grants Committee first. All grant awards for the FY24, and this report has electronically been submitted. All the awards for FY24 under AFG, FP&S, and SAFER were awarded by September 30th due to the funding expiration deadline. The application process, as well as the review and award processes, were all on an expedited schedule due to the pauses earlier in the year and the urgency to award the funds before they expired. In total, AFG awarded across the nation 1,678 awards for $291 million. There were 14 awards to Maryland departments. And as you heard earlier, MIFRE did get an award for $309,000. Under the Fire Prevention and Safety Program, there were 62 awards nationwide for $32 million. No Maryland departments did receive an award, although there were some national organizations that are housed in Maryland National Fallen Firefighters, the First Responder Center for Excellence, and the National Volunteer Fire Council all got awards. And Maryland State Police got an award, and that's actually Teresa's project with smoke alarms and CO detectors. She got $124,000 under FP&S for that. Under the SAFER program, there were 207 awards nationwide for $324 billion. There were 3 awards for Maryland departments for recruitment retention. There were actually no Maryland departments that got hiring awards, which is kind of unusual because usually you see several of the metro counties get money for hiring. So, and as you have heard, MSFA did not receive an award. I'll say that it was a disappointing year. It's easy to say because we didn't get one here. I reviewed our application. I didn't score it, obviously. It had been a conflict of interest. I thought we had a good application. I've been involved with that grant program for over 20 years, and the delays that we saw this year, the procedural issues, turnover in personnel, I think just are the worst thing I've ever experienced. But again, my role with the NVFC, that gives me kind of an inside there. I serve on the criteria development panel. Our voice will be heard because I believe those issues need to be corrected. Because I think that they did a disservice to America's fire service the way this grant program went this year. There have been no announcements yet for the FY25 grant programs. Hopefully they'll get them started shortly after the first of the year because, again, you're looking at another September 30th deadline for the expiration of those funds. One thing I will add that was not in my report, the National Volunteer Fire Council, I'll be moderating a roundtable this coming Thursday, December 11th at 2 p.m. Online roundtable. NVFC's put out some information on that to talk about the grant process. And I've got a couple people lined up to do some talking that I think are very interesting. We're really talking about looking at other grant opportunities besides just those FEMA Big Three to provide grants. The value of partnering and regionalizing your grants in order to maximize the effect of it. And I got a guy from Nebraska that's really sharp on this AI. I mean, you say AI scares you, don't say it's coming, it's here. And he'll talk to you how you could actually use AI to improve the quality of your grant. So I'd encourage you, if you have the time, Thursday afternoon at 2 p.m. to kind of log in and join us. Any questions on the grant program?
Any questions by the members?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I know in the AFG grants, like for protective clothing and stuff, they have like benchmarks of dollar figures that they look at per set of PPE or SCBAs or whatever.
Yes, they do, yes.
Okay. You've got the new standard coming out, the 1970, which consolidates all the PPE and stuff. Have they looked at what that's going to affect as far as the cost and considered raising those amounts?
Well, they always do. I mean, that's done within FEMA. They always obviously have to look at the cost of everything. And,
But I don't think they've raised them for years, have they?
I don't know. They do benchmarks, and a lot of the benchmarks come actually based on the proposals, and they see that in order to revise them if they need to. But basically, a lot of it is based on vendor pricing within a regional area for what that stuff should cost. I could go back and ask. I don't have that answer for you at the top of my head.
Okay. I know it does affect the end users, the departments that put in for them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because they're there. But like I said, in talking to the distributors, the salespeople now, they're already telling us that because of this new standard, new manufacturing processes and everything else, that it's going to considerably raise the cost of all this stuff. Have they considered that raising cost when they look at these grants?
Okay, I can take that back through criteria development sources.
Anyone else? Any other member? Okay, go ahead.
What do you want next?
NVFC is always good.
The National Volunteer Fire Council, that report also was submitted online. Continue to serve as your Maryland director along with Eric Bernard. We did have our fall meeting in South Dakota in September, and our spring meeting is scheduled for May in Alexandria. continue to work through, and I sent you a number of announcements, part of the attachments to my report, accepting the awards nominations for the Lifetime Achievement Award, the Jim Seavey Award, Junior Firefighter of the Year Award, Junior Firefighter Program of the Year Award. Those deadlines are January 16th, so I would encourage you to look at that. I know we've had several members of Maryland that have got the James Seavey Award, actually, which is an honor, including myself. So look at those awards opportunities, and the information is attached to my report. We've actually recently launched 2 new courses in our virtual learning network, the Building a Healthy and High-Performing Fire Department, both an online version as well as a classroom version. I just did one this past week up in Northeast with about 20 people in attending. We've also a new course on planning and implementing training programs, and new course that starts at the top, the importance of leadership supporting health and wellness. All of those are on our virtual learning network, available for free to NVSC members. Some of them are free to others, depending on whether it was grant funding or not. NVSC has an online store for apparel. Resource information on PPE, behavioral health resources, certainly a hot topic, and I'll talk later, the Joint Mental Wellness Task Force. But again, thinking about the holidays, obviously are a stressful time for first responders and families. Remind everyone that we have the first responder helpline available to us, available 24/7. So, NVSC is hosting 2 online events, the roundtable I talked about on December 11th, and a webinar on professionalism and public trust in the volunteer fire service on December 18th. Remind you that we do have, obviously, the All-State program. MSFA continues to pay 1/2 of the dues, and VSC dues are $24, but you can have your members join for only $12, because MSFA pays the other half, and there is a link in my report where you can go in and access the MSFA rate. Questions on National Volunteer Fire Council?
Oh, next.
Cumberland Valley. Cumberland Valley, again, pleased to report that report. Again, we're looking at the Cumberland Valley Volunteer Firefighters Association through our Emergency Responder Safety Institute, commonly referred to as ResponderSafety.com. Continue to advocate people to get trained on traffic incident management. The reason why, and we look at the numbers, I give you the 5-year numbers there, but so far in 2025, we've had 31 struck by fatalities on the nation highways across multiple disciplines: law enforcement, fire, EMS, tow operators, road service techs, DOT service reps. That number should be 0, yeah, and we need to pay attention. And you know, I sat at the booth out at FDIC last year, and I can't tell you how many people I talked to from different parts of the country said they'd rather go into a burning building than they would work an incident out on the roadway, because they feel safer going into a burning building than they do standing with traffic zooming by them at 60, 70, 80 miles an hour. We held our fall meeting at King of Prussia in line with the Pennsylvania State Conference in September. Our winter meeting is already on schedule for January 17th and 18th in Brookhaven, Pennsylvania, including a training session on that Saturday, which is the 17th, on emergency response involving electric vehicles. Again, our network is free. We have a lot of resources. We're now up to over 180,000 registered subscribers to our online learning network, spanning more than 125 countries. We are the forefront and the foundation to this whole responder safety on the roadway program, and we're very proud of our history, and we're proud of where we're going to. Some of the things that may be important to you is that we recently completed the process to get CAPC accreditation for all of our responder safety courses. Now, what does that mean? That means if you're an EMS provider, EMR, EMT, paramedic, when you do your annual certification, CAT-C certification gives you those continuing education hours that you need. All of our courses now on the Responder Safety Learning Network gain you CAT-C credit. You put in your provider number as part of your registration process. We do all the back-end paperwork to forward that to CAT-C so that on the back end those hours are recorded. One of the other things that we're pretty proud of, because we got questions about this one, is an instructor mode for our. We basically can provide you the training, the same training that we do on the online, provide you basically the PowerPoint, the video, and all that stuff. And if you have 10, 12, 15 members of your department, you want to do that training for them in a classroom environment, you can log in as instructor mode, put them down as students, and then instead of them actually sitting in front of a terminal and taking that training, they just have to go onto a terminal and take the challenge test, basically. And they would get same credit as if they took that course independently in front of a terminal. We recently updated 2 modules. One of them was relative to NFA 1550, which incorporates NFA 1500. NFA 1500, which is the, obviously the standard for health and safety. Chapter 11 is about traffic incident management. So again, we updated it from the old 1500 language to the new 1550 language. We also updated, we had a module on helmet and head protection. A lot of that was done earlier, but now we've got new input because we actually have a new ASTM standard for helmets for roadway workers. And really what it comes out of, in Lubbock, Texas, they had a firefighter in 2020 was struck and killed, and that made the folks down in Lubbock, Texas look at it and say, fire helmets are meant for things falling on top of your head. They aren't meant for things hitting you on the side of the head. And so they did some things. They looked at sporting helmets, diving helmets, different helmets, and really never really would satisfy what the fire and emergency services need. And so they kind of did some research and did some studies and actually came up with something for us that they promoted through the ASTM standard process, got that approved last year, and so we're now waiting for some of the manufacturers to pick up on that standard and develop helmets specifically to be used out on the roadways. And so we've updated our learning module to incorporate the new ASTM standard. So again, I invite each of you to become a member of Cumberland Valley Association. It's only a $5 dues members. But again, we're an organization that we feel we make a difference each day and every day relative to roadway safety. We believe that we've made a strong impact in the fire and EMS world. We're working closely with the other disciplines. Cops, you can't talk to them. Sorry, guys. You can't. Tow operators, I think we're making an impact. Bob Cumberland was up at tow show. I was away, but we've gone to tow show now for the last 3-4 years, trying to get the tow operators to pay attention to that. So please visit our website, take advantage of our web resources, and if we can help you, please call on myself, Bob Cumberland, Gene Worthington, any of us there that can help you.
Question.
Yes.
Is anyone looking at the tow company or the wrecker companies when they're building a piece of equipment that's on the road as far as improving on that, as we have with fire engines and med units over the years with striping, additional lighting? Is anyone looking at coming up with a new standard to build a new tow truck or a new wrecker?
Well, I think a lot of that's in there, and I think a lot of them incorporate. You see a lot of them are putting some of the chevrons and what into them. Lighting is a challenge. Lighting is a challenge for us. We got under this LED lighting world, and since it consumes such low power, we think we can put 2 million lights on every piece of apparatus, and all we're doing is we're creating more of a traffic hazard than we're preventing, because we're blinding the traffic. The tow operators, as far as their standards, I'm not specific. I know Bob. Where's Bob?
Our standards for towing, that's pretty much left up to each individual state. And a lot of states don't have good standard regulations for their towing outfits.
That's probably why we're having so many deaths then, because there is no standards.
Well, unfortunately, towers is
Towers and law enforcement, which is our highest numbers, but when you look at it, they're out there alone, yeah. And we're out there, we got the profession of the BRT, the big red truck, yeah. And we use that, and it's unfortunate that we're destroying a lot of fire apparatus, but I'd rather destroy a piece of fire apparatus than I would a life. And I can tell you that there's a lot of them, especially Texas is big on using blocking vehicles. They're taking surplus public safety dump trucks and other vehicles and actually putting them in. In fact, there was an incident the other day in Texas where actually the fire captain is coming under scrutiny and possibly charges because they had a tow vehicle, a blocking vehicle in their station, and they responded to an incident, and it ended up they didn't take the blocking vehicle with them, and the apparatus was struck and destroyed.
I'm just curious, if anybody's had a conversation and say, when you build a tow truck, you need to add these safety features to protect the people that are operating them, and it sounds like
We
that
advocate to
conversation
them.
isn't.
We advocate to them the striping. We advocate to them the lighting. We don't set the standards,
What I'm
unfortunately.
saying, yeah. Obviously, we need to work on the standard.
Yeah.
Like you can do it when they're private entity, and they cell phone and stuff like that.
Well, if they buy a piece of equipment, you can mandate what the equipment looks like and how it operates. Even though you as an individual is buying that equipment, it's still coming from a manufacturer.
But unless the state,
Right now, it's state mandated or not mandated.
unless the jurisdiction.
You know, and really the only thing Maryland does is a distinction between red lights, white lights, yellow lights, blue lights, green lights. Yeah.
Unless the state or jurisdiction require that in their.
That's what I'm saying. I was wondering if you're going to advocate for the states to start looking at the tow trucks and how they're manufactured and how they're being utilized. If they're the number 2 individuals that are getting killed out there, I would think somebody
They're the
would
number
take
one.
an interest.
They're actually number
I
one.
thought cops were number 1.
From what I've seen, they've come away as far as adding more lighting and stuff to the trucks. They probably haven't gotten around to put like green and the other stuff that the state has put on their equipment and stuff like that, but they have.
You're right, the cops are number one.
They have added a bunch of lighting.
Okay.
Like I said, just something somewhere where the legislator.
14 this year so
whoever,
far.
Put in there and to require, for as far as being a contractor for towing, for them with police or whoever sheriff calling the tow, if they have that contract, have to put that in there that way. Probably have to be legislators or something like that. Otherwise, that they gonna spend no more money and putting that stuff on they can't afford. I mean, those trucks now are getting up in the, especially the heavy duty records, the rotators are $600,000 better, so.
Okay.
It would make more sense to protect their investment, but.
Past President Cumberland?
Yeah, what you're seeing now in a lot of the major or larger towing organization, companies are now sending a safety vehicle along with their towing truck. Like your chart trucks and stuff like that. You're seeing some of your major, what I call major towing companies that have maybe a dozen pieces of equipment or more like that, are sending a safety vehicle out behind. This last tow show just was 2 weeks ago. We as Cumberland Valley and our training and stuff like that have made a lot of headway within the towing industry. In far as getting their people trained and stuff like that. And one of the big things that Mr. Fox, who we work with, they're part of does the TIMS training for Maryland. There are maybe a dozen or so states that are requiring tow operators to take training and have a certificate through the state. And not every state has the same standard for towers. That's something we're finding out as we got more involved with the towing industry. Texas is a big state with annual training for all their tow operators to be on the highway.
Okay.
They're one of few, but that's the biggest problem. And every state has so many towing operators that may only have 1 or 2 vehicles. So there's no real national standard or any organization like that like we have, like with the fire chiefs and whatever. So it's a major thing, but we're making headway with the towers and improved. And I think we've made as much headway with them as we have within our own organizations when we started training the firefighters of our best and have their proper turnout gear
Okay,
and stuff on it.
go ahead and do mental wellness.
As well, get it all done. Brief report for the Joint Mental Wellness Task Force. It also filed electronically. I want to thank President Simpson for appointing me. Mental stress affects each and every one of us, and unfortunately, we lose more first responders every year to suicide than we do in line of duty death. I often tell when I get around to teach it that you as a fire service leader are more likely to experience a member committing suicide than you are a line of duty death. And I say in my 50-plus years as a firefighter, I've had one line of duty death in my fire company. I've had 3 members commit suicide. And that kind of is a testament to that. And I think every one of us probably could tell a similar story. Ben Kurtz, past President Ben Kurtz, established this task force in 2022. And it was led since then by Teresa Chrisman, with representation MSFA, Ladies Auxiliary, Maryland Fire Chiefs, MIFRI, and MIMS, to join together to collectively work and address this growing health concern for first responders. Teresa led this task force for those 3 years, established a breakout group structure for us, as well as a set of goals. I asked that I'd have an opportunity to step up. Teresa's involved in a lot of other things, and expend some time to help to take it the next step forward. Unfortunately, life kind of got in my way, and although I asked for it in June, I'll self-admit that I really haven't had a chance to get the task force together. So just this past week, I did communicate with all the members of the task force, asking for their input on those goals, and hope to schedule shortly after the first of the year an online meeting to get some feedback from those members and decide what should be the path for the future of that, because I think it's just too important. We can't ignore the mental wellness issues that exist, and it's not just emergency services, although it's worse than emergency services, but it's a public issue as well. If you look at what's happening around the nation with mental wellness and suicide rates. So I really have nothing constructive for you, but we are working, and I will say that independently, the people that are on the task force already have a vested interest, and they continue to work it. I give credit to Chaplain John Long. He continually puts resources out on the chaplain's webpage, and again, when I get around and do some teaching, mental wellness always tends to be part of the issue, and we do talk about that. So hope to give you a further report at the next meeting.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, concerns? Anything from the audience? Thank you. Wish you a happy new year and a safe Christmas. Historical and Archives, past President Underwood. And you can do also 17 State Circle and the new facility down in Crofton.
Well, we can handle it all. Historical and Archives, okay? The stuff has been moved out of the storage container, and they have it over in the new building now. I don't know if, as far as resorting or whatever. What I've been doing, and I've been pushing this, if you'll notice in the back, there's a whole bunch of containers of old badges and stuff like that. I've sorted them in 10-year denominations. Anybody that is interested, if you got somebody back at your firehouse that collects this type of stuff, if you got a young college kids, and next time somebody comes trick-or-treating, stick that in their bag. Maybe that's a recruiting thing. Whatever we want to do, we can only save so much. So I have saved a variety of everything, and after that it's gone. If nobody takes it by February, then Ocean City, I'm going to put it out, put it in my flea market, and put a little box saying if you want to donate to Betsy Marshall or scholarship or something, throw some money in the box, but then it's gone. I don't want nobody bitching that Frank Underwood got rid of stuff, because you got every opportunity in the world. If you want to collect it, take it. You can only store so much. That's the way it is. State Circle, all the brickwork has been redone again. I have sent the guy email messages saying, what do we owe you? Because he spent 5 days working, grinding out, redoing. This is the same work that was done 7 years ago. And I keep telling him, why is everybody else in Annapolis not going through the same thing we are? He says it's the salt water in the air that eats at this masonry. He has redone it again. It's been sealed. That's ready to go. There is a few spots the paint's peeling. That's fine and dandy. I've contacted CertaPro, and them have come out, look at it. They say, no, there's lead in that paint, Jack. So knowing me, I go by between 6 and 8 o'clock in the morning when it is free parking in Annapolis in front of State Circle, and I take my little chisel once in a while and I do little rehab work, a piece at a time. The building's getting old. The contract that I complained for 3 years pushing to get the contract, well, you know, we're 3 or 4 years into that contract now. So I guess we're going to have to start again if it takes that long to renew our lease on that building. And that's the way that goes. I'm going to go out and shampoo the carpet, but it has rained every weekend in 6 weeks, 8 weeks. And I can't go out and shampoo that carpet and close that building back up and cause mold and mildew in that building, because it will happen. So eventually I will get out there and open the doors up and swat the fans and stuff to get the moisture out of it. Then they'll be ready to go. All right? If anybody would like to take over State Circle one of these days, they'd be more than happy to have it. I see where I'm going to be involved in the new building, the new office.
You're going to report on that now, please?
The new office, Kate and Lynn have been handling those. I have been a little bit involved somewhat in the fallen firefighters move. Lynn made the mistake of giving me a phone call one day, say, hey, we have excess furniture. So Frank with his truck and trailers put poor Hawk to work and poor Lynn to work, loading up stuff. I have file cabinets, horizontal. I have some vertical. I did have a real nice rosewood-looking glass-topped, beautiful conference table, but in less than 2 hours after me and Hawk drug it into my barn, took the bottoms off of it, put it there, and says, okay, somebody one day is going to call it. I got a text message less than 2 hours from the time we did that saying, Frank, you know how to get a hold of stuff. We need a conference table and chairs. I said, well, you're screwed out of the chairs because Frank's already donated them to son-in-law, to some daycare facilities and things like that. So that's out of their way. The conference table, it's been there 3 weeks now and they haven't come got it. So if it's still there in another week or so, guess what? It's open play. But I like shuffling stuff. I like to do this type of stuff. But you all have to realize that we cannot hold on to everything forever. And Frank ain't filling up his barn with a whole bunch of stuff when I got a fire truck and 2 pickup trucks to store in there, and that is my beauty shop. It is not a storage facility. So other than that, if you all have any other questions for me, I would appreciate if you take stuff. Chip has some things. Whenever I get this stuff, you know, we get husbands that die off. So the wives say, hey, if you want this, come get it. Most of the time, it's nothing that we really need historically as much as surplus. So first person I call is our alternative historical and archives chairman who won't take it back. We usually rotate it every year, but somewhere along the way he got lost out in this. But if it can go into a museum, if you all have a museum or something at a firehouse and you want stuff, I've been distributing as much as I can. I've been sorting this stuff and trying to get it out. But somebody has to volunteer to take it, or after a while it becomes surplus. And my flea market is going to be the place where it's going to end up. And I don't want to hear nobody complaining about it when it gets there, because you've had the opportunities. Anyway, Mr. Jewell.
Just want to say a couple things. First off, yes, we do have a lot of them I've gone through them. Frank has. We've categorized them. I'm matching them up to what we already have. So hopefully when we open up in April, we'll have a different display of them up at the museum in Emmitsburg and the Frederick County Museum. Another note, just wanted to, when you get a chance, go online to the Frederick County Volunteer Fire Rescue Association. A firefighter in York, Pennsylvania has compiled a list of the oldest active fire stations in the United States. The oldest active fire station in the United States is the United Steam Fire Engine Company number 3, built in 1848. And I've been saying it for years, and now he has a list of the 13 oldest fire stations still active, that they're actually operational. And that is the oldest continuous building in the United States, according to him. So it's kind of interesting. And there's some pictures of the older station online.
And Chip, I had some kids at my firehouse, because I'm starting my 60th year come February in the fire service. And I had some kids come to me and said, "How long you been in, Frank?" I said, "Well, when Ben Franklin flew the kite, I'm the one that held the fire extinguisher. And if you talk to Chip Jewell, you know that key that was on there? That was to his foot locker when he came over on the Mayflower." So I used your name. That's it.
Thank you. Sergeant of Arms. Sergeant of Arms. You have a report? Thank you. Investigation Committee?
Fortunately, Mr. Chairman, there's no update needed today. Thank you.
Okay. Awards Branch, the Awards Committee, Firefighter of the Year, Hall of Fame, and the Scheimer Award.
Real quick, the awards committee, we're in the process of getting everything ready to mail out the rules, regulations, first of the year. I've been working with a couple of committees on their awards, so everything is go.
Is there any change with the Zimbauer with the passing of Peggy?
Yes, that came out last year. I will be making some calls on that for individuals to sponsor additional awards. The original Zimbauer trophy was retired last year and is at Mifree. And the two new trophies are in different stations in Frederick County.
And then I know Dan Stevens sponsored one of your awards also.
Correct.
Okay. Do we have anything Firefighter of the Year, Hall of Fame?
Everything's in works.
Okay, how about Scheimer Award? Past President Jacobs?
Everything's in the works.
Okay. Financial Branch, Treasurer's Report, Financial Secretary, Budget Chair, Financial Reports, Budget Revenue Committee, Ways and Means, and Volunteer Company Assistance Fund.
You can just get all committees to do it.
So good afternoon, everybody. Several financial reports were filed electronically, a balance sheet, a profit and loss, and a budget versus actual. And are there any questions on any of those documents?
Are there any questions by the members? Okay, go for it.
Awesome. Okay, next item. We're currently working with Fike Connor and Associates, the accounting firm in Lavelle, for the 2024-2025 financial reports. We'll be doing all that paperwork. Tim, we probably got some boxes to go back and forth. I'll let you know what's going on with all that. All of the checking accounts have been reconciled as of November 30th, 2025, along with Maryland local government investment pool accounts have been updated and reconciled. W2Gs have been distributed to the winners of the raffle, and our tax liability for last year's raffle has been paid to the Internal Revenue Service. The committee will be working next on the 1099R for the Widows and Orphans Fund, 1099Ms for Betsy Marshall Fund, and 1099 NEC for the Executive Director. All these documents need to be filed with the IRS by the end of January 2026. Currently, we're working with the SAFER team to submit the final reimbursement for the current grant. The period of performance ended November 30th, so we've got about a month to do the paperwork to get our reimbursement. Fortunately, if you want to call it that, due to the government shutdown, they've extended the deadlines because government was shut down for a while. We have about $256,000 in reimbursements coming back to us. So we just got to get all of the checks and invoices. Do not believe that there is a paper reduction act, because we have to send all those things in to FEMA by the box load. But we hope to be able to get that done before the end of the year. The Chesapeake Employers Insurance Policy has been reviewed, which is our workers' comp. Thank you, Mr. Block, for helping us with that. That's been finished, and it's been updated. And it was reported that the Maryland Memorial was going to do their return on the loan from the convention fund. So if you looked at the numbers, you'll notice the convention fund's in the red, but that'll clarify and be back in the black once that loan is rectified. Those are the points that I have. Are there questions for the treasurer?
Any members have questions? Anyone in the audience have a question? Okay, next.
All right.
Okay, for the financial secretary's report, about 300 dues invoices have been loaded into QuickBooks, printed, and stuffed in envelopes. They're sitting in my den waiting for the post office on December 31st. And the reason I say about 300, I don't have an exact number, is because we have 5 counties, and thank you, that the county association pays the dues for the entire county, all the companies in that particular county. So I only have to send one invoice. Washington County, for example, has, I don't know, maybe 25 or 30 companies. One invoice covers them all. So that's a good thing, and then they reimburse the county. I talked to Kate and Ron, and what we'd like to do with checks that are being made out to the association. I received one for raffle tickets. It was made out to Chuck Walker. It was made out to MSFA to Chuck Walker with the program book, and I think it went to the office. So what we'd like to do, either it gets made out to MSFA or the Maryland State Firefighters Association, one or the other. They need to be mailed either to the Crofton office, which the new address is 2138 Priest Bridge Court, Suite 9, Crofton, Maryland, 21114, or to me at P.O. Box 401, Jarrettsville, Maryland, 21084. That's the 2 places the checks should be mailed to. And please, in the subject memo line, put down what it's for. If it's raffle tickets, if it's exhibits, tags, program book, whatever it is, make sure it's tagged in the memo line. Then we know who's supposed to get the check for credit for their area. Third thing is the Assistant Financial Secretary, Bobby Aaron, does report that the inventory is up to date. She's also requesting that please get your credit card receipts into her by the 10th of the month, because monthly she needs to reconcile the statements along with the credit card receipts. Okay, thanks.
Budget?
Vice Chair.
We're moving along with everything in line with the budget that was approved. And just a reminder, committees, if you want a budget next year, get your information into us. One of these years, you may not get any money if you don't give us a report on what you want.
Okay, next.
Would you like to do R since it involves money?
Sure.
And we're here. And we're here.
That's retirement. Good.
Quickly, the Presidential Vehicle Committee, several things have been occurring. Mitch has been taking care of updating the titles on the vehicles to Firefighters Association rather than Firemen's Association, and correcting the address to our new office address. We did receive a request from fallen firefighters. They have acquired a trailer, and they asked if we could put that in our fleet. It would be their trailer. All we're doing is putting a tag on it. They're responsible for the insurance and all. we have no problem doing that, and we're working that. It's really no different than when we were tagging the FEMA trailers. Different owner, we just had our tag on it. The car committee will keep the record of that particular vehicle, that it, even though it's titled to us, that it actually belongs to Maryland Memorial Firefighters. The last item that we have, we received 2 bids for the sale of the car. The first bid came from, I can't even pronounce her name, Jacqueline Nizek from Smyrna, Delaware, submitted a bid of $8,100. The second bid came from Safety Watch Security Services, Robert Cease, a bid of $9,500, and it's our recommendation to accept the bid for $9,500.
Take a motion from the members. Randy? Second by Vic Whipple. Questions? Call for yeas and nays. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There you go.
Thank you.
Since we originally had in there about keeping the emergency equipment if it went to a fire company, Safety Watch is a private commercial company, correct? So we
Correct.
will be removing that.
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else, gentlemen?
Ways and Means.
Okay.
Okay, the Ways and Means Committee, which is the $10,000 raffle, we've been busy selling tickets since the August meeting. We did $7,294 at Sunfest. We had some good weather down there, which helped. And $1,423 we did at the Darlington Apple Festival. So far this year, since June, when we started the new raffle, we've done $12,130. It's in the bank right now. Thanks to you guys today, I've got another $1,650 to put in when I get home. So, and Jarrettsville has a Christmas craft show next Saturday, and I expect to do between $400 and $500 there for that. So that'll be about a $2,000 deposit that we'll be making next week. I thank you all for getting the tickets out to the counties. They're coming in from all over the state. You can send them to me. You can take them to your executive committee member, or bring them to the ocean for the convention. Let's see. One of the ideas is they do make great stocking stuffers. Okay, and then the other thing I got thinking about too, and this has happened with already a couple companies. Companies are buying their tickets and then turn around and giving it to their members, which is a good incentive thing to get the members in there. So I know Bel Air just bought $200 worth and passed your meeting this past Tuesday night. So companies are buying them for their members and just giving them to their members as a little thank you for your coming out and making calls. I have tickets here if anybody needs more. And since I had some time this morning, I was able to finish the report from last year. So Jenny has the report already for the 2026 program book for the convention. And I happen to have it here. And there was a couple interesting numbers now that I finalized it this morning. So we did a total of $49,033. This is from June of this past convention. Our expenses were $27,131.50, so we had a profit of $21,901.50. But the stat that I really am glad to report, 175 out of 349, or 50% of the companies did participate. The year before, it was only 42%. We gained 8% of the companies across the state. I hope that's a trend that continues, because it's definitely in the right way. I believe that was all I was going to report. We already did the rest of it. And I know what you're going to say.
I say it all the time as the Budget Committee Chair. If companies would buy the tickets, it would certainly help us with the budget. And it's especially important now because we just lost the grant, and a lot of functions that were being performed were being paid for by the grant, and some things that are going to be requested may not be funded next year.
Okay, Mitch, as we heard earlier from Member Steger about Sunfest and Fall Fest may not be in Ocean City in the future, what kind of hit would we take as far as your committee if that were to happen?
Well, like I said, we just did 7,300 down there, 7,400, and Springfest is usually, if we have good weather all 4 days, that would be about 6,000. So we're talking 13,000 right there. And that would wipe out just about, well, last year, that's what the profit was. The year before, the profit was like 12,000, so that wipes the profit.
So Roger, they can't do away with Springfest and Winterfest and Sunfest, so we need everything they got down there.
Yeah. Well, we've always said that while we're down there. You know, Sunfest and Springfest is probably going to go away, and then comes the more concerts because it's the almighty dollar, and that's where it's being made is the concerts. It's not Springfest and Sunfest. So we've been making those comments for the last 2 years.
And I'm sure this has been thought of, but have your committee ever thought about going to the state fair and selling tickets there?
Well, back in about 2002, maybe, when Gene was president and Lou Johnsky, we had all started, we were actually in the state fair, and they were selling tickets, and I was coming down to do the evening shift, and I got in, and I said, "What's up?" And they said, "We can't sell tickets." I said, "What do you mean?" "It's gambling. They won't let us in." And I swear, 50 feet away was the Maryland State Lottery set up and selling their chances, their tickets. But we couldn't do it because we were gambling.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for all your work and dedication, and I hope you all have a Happy New Year.
If you know, and I got to work this out with Darlene, you know how that'll go. If we have like a one-day event, you know, we don't mind running out. If we have a one-day event and, you know, maybe we can set the tent up or something or a table and sell. But that's what I like these fire companies to do. If you know you're having an event, put a probie on it or put a member like me who's going to slow down and can't, do whatever. Let them sit at the table and sell chances. Again, next Saturday, I don't ask one person to buy a ticket. I'm going to sit there. They're coming to me, and we'll do $500 worth in about 5 hours. We're averaging $100 an hour, and all we do is sit at the table, and they come to us. That's all it takes. Put the tickets out on the table and have somebody collect the money. It's easy.
Okay, thank you.
I saved you money this year.
Yeah, you did. Well, you helped us with the car, though.
Absolutely, and if he wants to point it out, we'll reiterate it, that we made money on the one that you totaled because the grand total came out to about $18,000 that we got for the car because of the insurance company and them paying to remove the equipment, put the new equipment, and buy new equipment because we couldn't use some of it. So that was about 18 versus what we just sold this one for.
But I wouldn't encourage our presidents to continue that process.
It's not good there.
And just, I know we've talked about it. It was mentioned earlier. We do have different color vehicles. We do have 2 bright red ones. We have the old burgundy red, and we have the white. And we will be moving to all vehicles being white.
Okay,
Red is unavailable by Ford.
that's all right, we'll start buying Chevys then. Member Jewell, go ahead.
I just wanted to make a point that he did save you money, but I haven't, Ron and I haven't reported the insurance increase yet, so don't say that yet.
Car committee looks at
We're now going to be self-insured.
Yeah.
Would Joe and your group please come forward for VCAF?
There goes the mouse.
There went your prop. It didn't see it. That happened at convention when the cameras all went off.
Sir? Okay. Gotcha. Welcome. Gentlemen, if you would all state your name and title for the record.
Jason Eckstein, Lomona Fire Company, Fire Chief.
Would you spell your last name, sir?
Eckstein, Eckstein, S-T-I-N-E.
Thank you, sir.
Joseph Crowbooth, Joe Crowbooth, Deputy Fire Chief, Long Meadow Volunteer Fire Company, last name spelled K-R-O-B-O-T-H.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Rob Flint. I'm the president at Long Meadow, F-L-I-N-T.
And we know Joe.
Good afternoon, everyone. On November the 9th, Long Meadow, the VCAF board met and discussed Long Meadow's request for a Quint. They're replacing an engine that, by the time the Quint comes in, will be over 25 years old. And this was going to be a dual piece for the time being, because it's going to have water and a ladder at the same time. The loan number, application number was 8299. The amount of the Quint concept aerial device was project cost of $2,005,983 with a 4 plus 5 month delivery time. Or year delivery.
Say 45 months, you guys lucked out, didn't you?
4-year, 5 month delivery time.
Gotcha.
After a discussion, and all members of the board had reviewed their application online and given positive reviews, there was a motion made by Richard Blair to approve the request of the loan with a 15-year payback at 1% interest in the amount of $1,400,000. They are putting up 32% of the value of the truck. Motion was approved and passed on. So that's what they're here for. If there's any questions, these gentlemen will be glad to answer them for you.
Okay, Member Joel?
Pardon me? Joel?
Mr. Fishak cannot be here today. His father is ill. And since I'm the next county over, and Quint 27 was just in Emmitsburg a couple of days ago on a transfer, and as always got to give history, the original Quint was Old Truck 4 from Western Enterprise. And back in 72, I think it was, we had the YMCA fire in downtown Frederick. Our ladder truck was out of service because City Shop didn't know what kind of fluid to put in the aerial. And that ladder truck was the first new ladder truck in Frederick on that fire. And there's pictures of it fighting that fire. So it certainly is kind of ironic. But Mr. Chairman, I'll make the motion to approve the loan.
Have a second by Ron Block. Hopefully, some of you got an email from Member Fishak again. He expressed his disappointment for not being here, but he certainly encourages the loan and this body's approval. Are there any questions at this time?
Manufacturer? Pierce.
Pierce.
Are there any questions from the audience? What was the loan amount again, sir?
The loan amount was $1,400,000, 15 years at 1%.
Good.
To be
Okay.
paid back annually.
Just a curiosity question, what's the build time they're giving you?
44 months.
44?
That's today.
Yeah, exactly, Joe.
Yeah. Okay, a call for the yeas and nays. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you, gentlemen. Good
you.
luck
Thank
with
you,
your new
gentlemen,
piece.
for coming
Happy
today.
holidays to you,
Appreciate
and be
it.
safe
Appreciate
travels
it.
back.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
What else you got for us, Joe?
Next order of business, rules were, the report of the board was sent out electronically. I don't know if you've all had the opportunity to review some of the suggestions we want to be approved today. One of them has to deal with, we had an issue with Revere Beach, as I know some of you know, talked to. Once the Board of Public Works approved their contract, it took them almost 1 year to sign the contract with their manufacturer. Craig and I and a few other board members discussed it at length. and found that to be totally unacceptable. Because once we approve it, you approve it, and it gets to the Board of Public Works, there's probably 60 days there, let alone. So we want to add to our rules and regulations that once the Board of Public Works approves the loan request, the company has 90 days to sign their contract. That way, right now, that loan, unfortunately, it's tied up for almost 5 years before we get any return on that money. And we're not in a position to do that.
Mr.
So
Chairman.
we want to be able to add 90 days after the Board of Public Works approves their loan that they must sign a contract.
Mark?
Okay?
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
Just a question. What was their holdup? I mean, they should have come into you guys with a.
When we met with them, they told us that, and we questioned their ability to pay. And they said they were going to sell their existing ladder truck. And they expected to get, I don't know, $1 million plus for it. Long story short, they never sold it. And they never came back to us and told us. So their excuse was that they were nitpicking the contract to make changes all along, which we didn't know. I mean, we don't follow up when when it's approved, we just figure they're gonna sign a contract. But we got snuggled, horn-woggled, whatever you wanna call it.
But I guess my question is, they come into you with the proposal, this is the truck we want to buy.
Yes.
So there should be no
It's an
changes being made.
It's an engine with Anne Arundel County specs, but they wanted to make certain changes in color schemes, A, B, and C, minor bullshit. Excuse my English.
No.
But it just took time to get it done, and it should have all been worked out.
Well, that's my
Within the
reason for the
timeframe.
question is, when they came to you, the project wasn't a finished project to be asking money for.
Well,
Okay, all right, I'm
it's
good.
over and done with, but its contract's been signed, it was signed back in August, so it's been signed, but we want to prevent this lag of ever happening again. So we're asking to be able to put in our rules and regulations that you have 90 days to sign the contract, or we have to reserve the right to withdraw it and have the Board of Public Works withdraw their request. Any
Randy?
questions on that?
Randy?
My first question is why extend it 90 days? Why when you, for that reason, make it shorter if
Well,
possible? Now, listen,
That's where we, as a group, decided that 90 days was sufficient time, once the board approved it. Theoretically, if I was coming to a group, I'd have it ready to sign the day after. I mean, that's up to you. If you want to change it to 60 days or whatever, I have no problem with that. But we settled on 90 days.
Okay, before we have any other discussion, let's get a motion on the floor in a second. I have a motion by Doug. Do I have a second? Second by Chip. At this point, we're discussing the recommendation of 90 days to be added to the contract. So go back to your question again.
yes, my question is, if everything, they're ready to go when they come to you, correct? So why, like now, we approve the request, why should it need to take 90 days for them to sign it? Or whatever, do whatever they have to do, and the other thing is, it almost sounds like you need to add another bylaw change, because you need to have it, that once they get done with you, they bring it to you, they're supposed to be done.
Yes, well, then they can't, but they cannot sign a contract.
Joe? Please pay attention. Thank you.
We tell them, don't come to us if you have not signed a contract. I mean, if you have signed a contract, don't come to us, because we need to be in from the beginning. So most companies, and I've been here for 12 years, 13 years, never had this problem before. But we want to avoid it in the future, since we all know delivery time of apparatus is 39 to 48, 50 months. And that ties the money, and the longer you wait to sign that contract, the further back that calendar gets pushed. So we picked 90 days. Now, if you want to change that, I have no problem with that, and I don't think the board members would have a problem with it. But that's what we decided and settled on.
It's just my,
I understand, and everybody's got the right to ask.
and the second, and the other thing would be is, when they come to you, they made a decision of everything that they want, this is the baby we want. So, once they sign, it shouldn't be going back, that's part of the hindrance, it shouldn't be going back, changing and making other stuff. Because we all know that the turnaround time from sign to receive is already like something 3-4 years. So what I'm saying. that
Randy,
need to be-
the secretary can't hear you. You need to be on the mic so he can hear everything you're saying.
So that's,
Randy was asking why the 90 days, because when they come to us, they're supposed to be ready to negotiate and sign a contract with the vendor, whomever they picked, a completed contract. Now, I know companies have been coming to us without a contract signed because they're waiting for us, and there are some decisions that may still have to be made as versus the color, and we overlook some things. But the price is what we go with.
right.
And that's what we approve on the value of the vehicle.
Right.
Now, this particular company was dealing with Anne Arundel County on their specs. Now, if they had a problem from the get-go, they should have been honest with us and told us.
Right.
Obviously, they weren't.
Right.
So we picked a 90-day window. And that's the reason I give you.
Okay.
Tim Dayton? And then Doug.
Joe, the only question I have in looking at your proposal that you guys sent, it says, companies who receive Maryland Public Works funding approval shall sign the projected contract within 60 days or
All right.
forfeit the VCAF loan. The MSFA may extend the deadline 30 days.
All right, well,
So are we looking at what's here in writing, or are we looking at 90 days? I mean, I know it could go up to 90 days,
up to 90.
but the way this is
accept
worded.
I would accept what was there, which it says 60, and if they have a problem with that, they can come back. and
Exactly,
ask for it.
exactly.
I'd accept that.
Okay, that's what it says in your
If it says
proposal.
that,
Okay.
That's fine.
I didn't say it in that use those words, but that's my point I was trying to make.
All right, we can live with that.
So, excuse me, so then, the way it is now is it's 60 days, and they may offer a 30-day extension.
Excuse me. If you look at what he sent out with the minutes, they have a proposal of like changes to everything in the process. And it says in there that it's a contract within 60 days, but the MSFA may extend this deadline 30 days if the company provides evidence.
So basically, 90 days is really there.
It is,
If you
it
want it to
is.
be.
But you're asking them initially, sign the daggone thing in 60 days.
I personally would accept that.
Okay, that's what it has. Okay.
So then there's no need for the motion and the second that was made at this point.
We're okay.
So
I just wanted to.
I need
bring-
those motions withdrawn.
I'll
Thank you.
take it to withdrawal, and I want to point out something. We're talking a lot of money here, people, a lot of money. And for a company, to do what they did to the VCAF committee, it's kind of like a slap in the face, okay? We're going out on a limb, giving you X number of dollars, I won't put a figure on it, and yet you're not playing by the rules. That just cannot happen any longer, sorry. I mean, money's tight, but, I don't want it to come back.
They never, to my knowledge, they never even came back to their rep, who's Craig Harmon, or myself, and told us what they were doing.
I would
I mean,
hope
that
that
was-
you and Craig both have voiced your displeasure
We
with
have.
Rivera Beach Volunteer Fire.
We
Company.
have. We have. Very much so.
And we'll keep it in mind for the next time they come for money.
The,
Well, I think they're looking at the current rules and regulations.
the next order of business, and I don't know if you've all read our recommendation. We're trying to stay proactive and ahead of the curve, as we don't really have a whole lot of policy for used apparatus in our procedures. So we have developed, because we expect something to come down the road in the near future, several companies looking to buy used apparatus. And I know this is, it's not easy to do, but we have set some guidelines that they must have. First of all, we generally lend for new apparatus 20 years on a fire engine. Now, if somebody, company A, comes to us and says, we found this fire engine that's 10 years old and it's $1 million. We want to buy it. Okay, well, you take 10 from 20, it leaves you 10 years. The most we would lend would be for 10 years, because that's all we would expect the new engine to be. They still have to put up to 25%, and it's still a 1% loan, but there are certain conditions. We have to have a DOT inspection, a pump test inspection, anything else you can think of when you buy a new piece. We have to make sure the lien is clear, there's no lien against it, it's not been in a serious accident and repaired, but we want to stay ahead of the curve so that we can actually help companies with used apparatus. Now, we all know that when you deal with the state, it's a real up and down to get their money. And when you find a used piece, you gotta be ready to move on it today, or it may not be there tomorrow. So the companies are gonna probably, unless they have a magic wand, they're gonna probably have to get a bridge loan. And until the state does their thing and we can get a meeting and quickly get it to the Board of Public Works and get it approved, it's still probably gonna take, and get a check cut, it's still probably gonna take 5 months, 4 or 5 months. And you can't hold a used, nobody's gonna hold a used piece of apparatus for you that long. So we recognize there's gonna be some problems, but we're willing to work with the company and expedite our end of it to get it to the Board of Public Works as quickly as we can. Rather, if we have to get a quick executive committee meeting to approve it and get it to them to get on the Board of Public Works quickly, and all this time, the company's gonna have to be working on getting their settlement procedures done so they can get to the Board of Public Works, get to the settlement at the DMV to get the check cut. We know there's a lot of hurdles that have to be covered, but we gotta start somewhere, and this is what we wanna do. And, because companies today, when you're looking at $1.5 million for a fire engine, even if you wanted a tower, you're looking at $2.25–2.5 million. It's tough.
So what is your recommendation to this board?
That the guidelines that have been written, that were all sent out to everybody, motion to adopt them so that we have a starting point. Now, I'm not saying we won't come back and ask for revisions, but we got to start somewhere and have something for the companies to work with.
Have the members received this information and looked at it?
Mark,
Go ahead, Tim.
Roger and I were looking, and it says in your proposal, the policy, and then it says current VCAF program restrictions. In that section, in section 4, it says contract within 90 days. I like your 60 days with you having the ability to make it 90 in the other part of the thing. So I'm just, yeah, I don't want to, I don't want to say, I don't have any problem with what you're looking at, but I just don't want us to see it contradicting itself
That
in there.
motion was withdrawn because we agreed.
But it says it here in writing, Joe.
Yeah, well,
But you're talking about used fire apparatus now.
Okay, so
Yeah, I think we're talking about.
what you're talking about, we're off that subject. We're talking about used fire apparatus right now.
I understand, but it's
So
all
we'll come
in.
back to your,
Well, we're in his, accepting his, he's asking for us to accept his proposal.
report.
This is all in that proposal.
okay, but earlier, when you
Correct.
made the proposal, you said there was already 60, 90. Now you're saying,
It depends what section you read, it's in here two different ways.
okay.
I'm just,
Both of them need to read the same.
before we make a motion to accept the proposal, which we have it listed two different ways. That's my question. I thought that's where we were at, was whether someone was gonna make a motion to accept this or not. But it says, it says what he said originally, it says it two different ways. And I'm just asking for clarification.
All right,
Yeah.
Another question before we make a motion,
Go ahead.
and it'd be an amended motion when it does. Joe, only question I have is, we have right now with new apparatus, they cannot sign the contract ahead of time, but yet it looks like on the used apparatus, they're probably going to have to get a bridge loan, which kind of is a financial commitment ahead of time. Is MDM going to be okay with that? Because that's kind of the same situation.
back to when we were doing construction loans. Back to when we were doing construction loans, because of the length of time, companies did get bridge loans for the construction loans, so that they could pay the contractor and as time went on. And then at the end, the settlement, they got the big check so they could pay off their, so basically, I can't, it's sort of this, it's the same but not the same. Because if you're gonna buy a used engine, the guy's not gonna say, I can't sit here for 6 months and wait for it. You know, I mean, it's a catch-22 maybe, but we're trying to help the companies, because we know that there are companies out there, the majority of them don't have the kind of money to buy a brand new one, and maybe they don't want to wait 4 years to get it. We're just trying to be ahead of the curve with used apparatus.
So you have not approached MDM about used apparatus yet? So maybe we'd be better off holding off on any voting until MDM has been informed and is comfortable with what we want to do, and we can bring it back at the next executive committee meeting for a vote.
Yeah, you know, unfortunately, Scott's retiring, and the new girl, Jessica, is and she's, she's gonna be a learning, she's been working with Scott for the last 6 months, but this is something gonna be brand new, so.
So I'm saying, I think it would be best to meet with them, talk to them, get their approval, and then bring your recommendations back at the next executive committee meeting. And maybe send the information out ahead of time that the members can digest it and review it,
In a
and
separate,
vote on it.
in a separate section, not included in,
Yep.
so that everybody can see.
Yes, Randy, go ahead.
I make a motion to table the last part and also note that I still have a concern with the
Okay, we have a motion to table. Do we have a second? Second. Questions? Go ahead. Oh, okay. It's tabled till somebody brings it off the table then. It was Randy and then Roger Steger. Anything else, Joe?
No, I'll just thank you for your time and appreciate the questions. And we'll see if we can work something out.
Okay. We're looking for the MDM Fire Service Personnel, Bill Hildebrand, or report. Don't see him. Search and
Mr. Chairman.
rescue.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
can we go back to car committee real quick?
Okay.
I did contact the purchaser of the vehicle. He tells me that he does have authorization from MVA for emergency lights. And we talked a little bit, and from what he's describing, it's exactly the same form that we do, and he says he has authorization for red and blue lights. So my comment to him, you show me that on your other vehicles, I'll leave the lights in. If you don't show me that, the lights are coming out.
Very good. And you're gonna have Skip deliver the vehicle, right? Search and Rescue, Chief Phillips. I'm sorry, sir? Thank you, sir. Fire Police. Fire Police?
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Yes, sir.
Steve, the light situation, was the winner of the bid located in the state of Maryland? Yes. Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
We good? All right, I submitted mine electronically. Really, the only thing I'm going to add to our next meeting, we will be talking about the helmets, more or less, just like he mentioned earlier, waiting for a manufacturing. I do have numerous fire police gathering prototype helmets. So when we have our meeting, it looks like right now tentative, it's going to be January 17th up at Goodwill, Koning is where we're shooting for.
Okay.
Other than that, because like I say, everything else, the standard guidelines, everything has already been approved. They're on the website. So this is our next step would be looking about the helmets.
Thank you, sir. EMS Committee, Chairman Tome, ALS and BLS subcommittees.
Good afternoon, everyone. Fire police in our company just put everybody in helmets, mandatory wearing them on call, so that's near and dear to us because our member was a co-member of Perryville Fire Company, lost his life due to a head injury on a call. So glad to see that progress.
Wayne. Come on, people, we're almost done. You've been good all this time, so let's just finish up here. Go ahead, sir.
All right, and Bob, we're looking at that legislation very closely that Dr. Delbridge talked about, and we'll be very concerned to follow that regulation, and he wasn't even sure what the piece of equipment that the senator was referring to that wasn't there when he had called the ambulance. So that could be a big fiscal note and a big deal for MIMS to have to try to handle that if that ever is put in place. So we would be very concerned what the draft of that legislation, if it comes through, says. Ballistic protection, we've been getting that guidance out, best practices from the active assailant work group that I represent the MSFA on, getting that out to the companies so if they're buying things, they're well informed on how to go about it and how to acquire that and SOPs to wear that on scenes. We heard about the big beautiful bill money for rural EMS funds being available, and MIMS has assured us that they interface with the Department of Health to try to get money to help rural EMS. So that, from what we can understand, entails more mobile integrated health pursuits. So we'll be monitoring that, but that can indirectly affect, boots on the ground for us because we won't have our frequent flyers, to help with, the MIH efforts. The Jurisdictional Advisory Committee, which I also serve on representing MSFA, had discussed some movement on CPAP and glucagon for BLS, and we're concerned of the cost that maybe every ambulance doesn't need glucagon on it because it's an expensive medication, and leaving that up to the jurisdictions on how they handle that as far as what units they put that on and making that a jurisdictional option rather than a mandatory every ambulance carry that for BLS providers. So more to follow on that. We've seen and heard of a lot more adult protective services situations, people living in squalor, and I was just talking to Teresa about people are using campers and, outbuildings for living conditions, and they're very deplorable. We have situations in Cecil County. We had 2 fatal fires in the Elkton Northeast area of people living in campers outside of dwellings. So the EMS people are closest to this. If they see these kind of situations, they need to report them in the interest of the safety of our folks so that they don't end up succumbing to a disaster as far as a fire, because their electrical systems to these places are not adequate, and they're catching either the house on fire or the camper on fire in a lot of cases. So it was mentioned about the EMS committee was consulted about the EMS compact, which we stood against, and Charlie delivered that message. So the next meeting of the EMS committee will be in Montgomery County on the 25th of January. If I could, Mr. Chairman, can I go ahead and do the tag report now?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
Okay. We are looking at ways to try to bring into compliance all the companies on their recert. The number of companies participating in the $10,000 raffle is about the compliance number we have for people recertifying. We're 2.5 years into the 5-year cycle, and 164 companies have recertified, and 178 in non-compliance. We're developing ways to get the information directly out to the companies rather than the county coordinators, because there's not been much cooperation there. So we're going to try to target getting it directly to the fire companies. If anybody wants the list, and actually I'll just email you the list of companies that are non-compliant. It'll be in an Excel file, and you can look to see which companies in your areas are non-compliant with the recert. So we can try to get that whole as we can, coming up on the next recertification in 2028. And I've added a section on dealing with anything regarding emergency vehicles and vehicles in your company. We've had a couple problems locally with titles and them either getting lost or not processed properly because they're going to local MVAs. And my recommendation is in the report that they deal directly with the Office of Special Plates that we deal with for the tags for emergency vehicles, and they can, deal with that, and they know what's going on with the emergency vehicles so that the titles can get processed properly. And that address is there, and Cindy Richburg, she's really good. If you just email her or send the information down to her attention, she'll turn it around and get you your title very, very efficiently, rather than going to the local MVAs in your towns. All right, that's all I have.
Any questions by the members? Yes, sir.
Can that list be sorted better to like the counties and the stations of the counties?
Randy, please use the mic.
My question is, can that list be sorted to per station in the county, in the different counties, not just one big long thing that's Southern? Like if I'm a coordinator for Southern Maryland, I'm gonna get the whole Southern Maryland, I gotta go in and try to pull and pick it.
I personally can't because I don't have the expertise, but I got a guy in my company that can probably do it. That's how I had to get labels converted. But to your point, yeah, it can be done. So we're going to try to find a way to get it done for you.
Appreciate it.
So you're not seeing everybody else's.
Anything else? Thanks, sir. Happy New Year. Be safe.
Same to you. Thank you.
Fire prevention, you're on deck. I'm sorry, you're up next, and then we do legislation.
All right, well, welcome, everybody. I have one complaint. I'm not next to the cork bar, but that's okay. I guess you all are trying to keep me out of trouble. So Jason did give an overview a lot about what's going on in the state for the fire marshal's office. In perspective, I do want to hit a little bit about the grant that we received. A substantial, we're going to be helping 11 locations around the county or the state. Their health department, they have a Healthy Communities Committee for children. So it's going to be based into that location aspect. So we're hitting at-risk individuals with smoke and carbon monoxide alarms. We will be working with the health department officials, and they will partner with their local community fire departments to help establish the alarm into the home, because we want to make sure that these get installed properly and they understand that maintenance aspect. Also, I'm going to let everybody talk before I do anything else, but I just can't say thank you enough to our committee. Like, we're really working very hard for the state to ensure that, one, our number one goal is to limit the amount of loss and fire deaths. And in the reports, it shows that. So we're working very hard, and I appreciate all of them. So I'm going to let Bridget go with Miss Fire Prevention first.
Good afternoon. In light of the discussions this morning, the Miss Fire Prevention between Lori, Teresa, and I will be trying to reevaluate the program so that we can hold the program prior to Ocean City. That way, the incoming ambassadors would be able to participate in the parade the Saturday before convention. So we're kind of going to try to bump up our timeline a little bit and have our applications due by April 1st, hold a special meeting / workshop for the ambassadors in April, hopefully the third week in April. And then we would just have the contest as part of our May meeting, which used to be our ambassador workshop. And then that way, that would allow them to be able to participate in the parade in Ocean City. And we would have to change just a little bit of the requirements, only because now we're not bringing them all to Ocean City to compete. Obviously, we would have to make that requirements for those who win during the contest on May 17th. So we are working on that, and we will get the updated information to Kate as soon as possible to get everything rolling so that we can fall in line with the new dates. That's all I have.
CC, anything additional? Okay.
Nothing to say.
You want to talk a minute about Mid-Atlantic?
Hi, everyone. Kim Shelton, LAMSFA, historian and vice chair for MSFA, Fire Prevention Life Safety. The Mid-Atlantic Life Safety Conference was held on October 24th at the Doubletree Hotel in Annapolis. It was a great day filled with awesome training, delicious meal, friendly staff, and plenty of opportunities to network with others. We haven't had our hot wash meeting. However, the preliminary numbers are 125 first responders, CRR educators, fire marshals, and others took advantage of the training offered. The committee extends sincere thanks to the MSFA and the LAMSFA for continuing to sponsor this event. Due to a scheduling conflict, we will be searching for a new venue for next year's conference. We greatly appreciate everyone's support, and as we start planning the planning process for next year, and hope to see you all there. Respectfully submitted.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I submitted my report electronically. There are a bunch of hypertext links in it to share with your committees at the county and regional level, as well as the companies. We are in the process of incorporating a lot of new information that came from the International Safe Kids Worldwide PreventCon, which was held in October at the Gaylord in Prince George's County. Most of the changes in the language you will see and the information we have available for your companies to take home next June, as it's published on our website, I'll get it out to folks ahead of time, are going to focus on water safety and safe sleep. There are not as many changes for fire and burn. We had a great lecture at the Mid-Atlantic Life Safety Conference on the education standards for that, and I think that's where we'll be moving to help people understand what that 3,100, am I right, Teresa? 3,100 standard from NFPA is. 1,300? yeah, it's dyslexia, sorry. 1,300 for the minutes, 1,300 NFPA standard is. People are doing a lot of great work. I saw immense effort across the state and across the Mid-Atlantic region during October for prevention and life safety. So I think the next logical step is to help people understand that 1,300 standard and how it can help them collect data on the prevention they're doing. We have our Safe Kids date set for 2026. We will be having a very different and really first time ever in the state, thanks to Teresa, conference on Saturday, March 21st at MIFRE. So the Public Fire Safety Educator Seminar has usually been a potpourri. Sometimes we've had a theme, sometimes we haven't. This time it's a train the trainer. NFPA is sending in their lead educator, and it will be a 6.5-hour day, 6 hours of training specifically on steps to safety, which is a program focused on senior adults. Half will be fire safety, half will be fall safety. The leading cause of EMS responses, the leading cause of admission to trauma centers across our state is falls. And they're two age groups. They're my kids, and they're people my age and older. And so this will focus on that. So that the EMSC state partnership grant from HRSA can continue to support it. I'll be doing a short grandparents lecture at lunch, because if I don't talk about children, I can't provide lunch. But the focus will be on what grandparents can do to keep kids safe. This is a train the trainer. So if your folks come to this, they will leave able to go out and do a 30-minute, 60-minute, or 90-minute education for the community. These are done regionally, so I do expect people from Delaware, Pennsylvania, and DC to come and attend.
Delaware people, and we have people from DC. I have no one from Virginia yet.
Okay.
Virginia had their own conference, so they're.
Okay, great. Mid-Atlantic Life Safety has already been covered really well. The other thing we will be revising before we get to convention is an update on the poison and medication safety. I spoke with Emily Patterson, who is the lead educator at the Maryland Poison Center. I believe I said this in August, but September 1st, the Maryland Poison Center took on all of Prince George's County, all of Montgomery County, and all of the District of Columbia. So that is 2.4 million more citizens our Maryland Poison Center is covering. So they are now up to 8 million citizens. She now has a new assistant full-time, and so she'll be working with us to update some of that information. This is great news. It's where we were 40 years ago. It means all of Maryland has one center covering them for prevention education, community outreach, as well as that 1-800-222-1222 number to call. Lastly, given the change in the plans for convention, I have not done it yet because I learned about it this morning, but we'll be reaching out to the cadet programs. We don't expect to have as many misfire prevention ambassadors coming. High school students have struggled to get there because schools still run during convention. And so we'll also be working with the junior cadets, the junior ambassadors, because typically middle school kids have a little bit more flexibility, but we'll continue to work on that and get back to you in the spring once we have a more firm plan. And my last ask, because it will be before we are back together again, all of the EMS Week awards, this is sort of my EMSC hat, are due February 1st. Everyone's used to those being due in April. They're not. Due February 1st for both the awards adults receive, as well as the Right Care When It Counts, and that's where my heart is. I actually already have 6 children, or teams of children, who have been nominated for Right Care When It Counts. So I've got 6 counties so far. My math says I therefore have about 19 more to get. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
So on the back table, since our committee is responsible for doing any type of educational component at each meeting, is on holiday decorations and lighting safety, winter fire safety, seasons for sharing fire safety tips on happy holidays. It's all the issues dealing with the holidays itself, The Christmas tree safety from the Fire Marshal's Office, Turkey Fire Safety 101, because we know that you all like to burn things. And how much water does your Christmas tree really need? Does anybody really know? A gallon a day. So that's back there. Our last meeting was held at Manchester, and I apologize. I did send my notes from my other laptop, but I don't see them in the reporting process, so I'm going to have to figure out what happened. We thank Manchester for allowing us to meet there. We did have a guest speaker this time. His name was Scott Ayers. He's a CPSC fire protection engineer, and he went through some of the issues that they see that comes to them for recalls. He went over the recall aspect on how they deal with recalls. I did ask if there was a possibility of one day, like on a weekend, because they're out of Rockville, to allow some of us to come and view how they design and dictate on how a recall is created. And Cindy and I were at a special training there for burn safety with Scott, and we did a tour of the facility, and each section of the building deals with certain things. There's a big room about toy safety, and every toy that's ever been given to them to do a recall is in that room. And it gives them what the recall was about. They retest it, they recreate the situation. If you ever see a recall notice that comes out, like there's one out right now about furniture, you think the furniture is completely safe, but it's a hazard because it's tipping over on top of people because it's not, I guess, built properly. So, and it was kind of funny because I saw that same piece of furniture in that room. I'm like, oh, well, we know that's coming out now. That's pretty cool. So he gave us a great insight from that. He has no background in the fire service, but he's worked for CPSC for such a long time. He has taken on some new aspects to try to help support better change in fire and life safety itself. From the NFPA, I do know that there's a code review for NFPA 1035, which is the fire life safety educator standard, and then the NFPA 1300, which is the CRR standard. Waiting to find out what comes out from that. Also, the desk reference that I've talked about before, Kelly Ransdell did tell us a couple of weeks ago that they know that they're 4 years behind that requirement. They're supposed to change it every 2 years, but due to situations and some things changing, they've taken a little bit longer for review of that. And supposedly that's going to be due to us very shortly. So once that's released, I'll release it to the association to get out there. Community Risk Reduction Week is January 19th through the 25th of 2026. This year's message is focused on enforcement. So I'm going to be working with the Fire Marshal's Office to create and craft messages that go back out to their fire and life safety educators, along with the fire service as a whole, to be the main focus to have everybody understand about the risk reduction programs and how they understand this message to come out. Vision 2020, the next conference is February 24, 26 through, that's in Concord, North Carolina. Maryland has been a part of a grant. Next Steps, it serves 5 states, and Maryland is one of them. Myself and Beth Ann Neslett from Montgomery County will be the sponsors to that for the state of Maryland, and we'll hear more. We have a possibility of receiving 1,000 smoke alarms. We're going to be working with the Baltimore City Fire Department and some other locations around the state. So if you hear from me, that's because you've been picked. So that's what we're working on. But other than that, we're here to help and serve where we can. Thank you.
Any questions for the committee? Any questions for the committee?
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And again, Happy New Year, safe Christmas.
Thank you.
Mr. Barry, Rural Water, he would like to report out today instead of Sunday.
But you're doing legislative next.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Legislation and then Mr. Barry. I apologize, gentlemen and ladies.
Mr. Chairman.
Sir.
My report was filed. I'm not going to go through that, but I do want to hit on a few things that what's been going on across the state. Hot topics for right now, workman's compensation issues. Still working on 2 companies to get covered. We've been more or less told that they'll be happening this year with the county budgets where they are. And workman's compensation across the board is going up 25% this year. The underwriter's rate per firefighter is $8.50 a person. Right now, it's going to $10.50. And then you multiply that by your experience code, and it goes up again. Across the state, I hear this time and time again that it's unaffordable. I'll speak for Dorchester County right now. They're in the middle of trying to find ways to lower their costs. Had a meeting with the county commissioners and the Eastern Shore delegation from the 37th, and we are coming up with ideas now to go back to workman's comp as to how. And the big one is create another category for members of fire companies. Right now, Chesapeake Workers says they're mandated by legislation to only have one category. There's nothing anywhere in the legislation that says that. But at the present time, they're charging $850 for a firefighter, and at the same time, they charge $850 for the president of the company that never goes on a fire call. So that's one of the things that we're looking at this time. I've been in contact as little as this week with the senator to start working on this. Sir.
They did have a separate classification years ago. There were two classifications when I was still in insurance. So when that changed, I don't know what they're telling you exactly, but they did have two classifications at one point in time. They may still been IWIF, but there were two classifications. Insurance, maybe not just them, but I know other companies did. So there has been a precedent set, and I'll try to research it and tell you when.
No, thank you.
Ron Block?
Yes, sir.
There are two classifications, one for firefighters, one for EMT. And now that Chesapeake Employers has gone compliant with NAIC, they are supposed to have a classification for character. I understand from...
Your mic's not on.
It is now.
I understand from my replacement in the insurance business that he's having difficulty with Chesapeake Employers honoring that. Now, that's a problem. And I'll get with him this week, and maybe we could have a joint conversation about this, because this is problematic for fire companies, because you're paying the same amount of workers' compensation premium for the president who never gets on a piece of apparatus as the person who runs calls every day.
Absolutely.
And the only thing that the Chesapeake still does honor is firefighters or EMTs. Now, EMT has to be EMT only. If an EMT ever jumps on an engine, they're a firefighter.
Exactly.
If all they do is EMT work and they stay on the ambulances or the medic units, they're an EMT. But the problem that we're having is, that Bobby's having, is getting Chesapeake to honor their compliance with the National Association.
Any information you can get, I greatly appreciate it.
All right.
I'm speaking right this minute with Senator Pam Bottle. And as we sit here, the senior vice president of Chesapeake Employers is her daughter.
Yeah. I'm going to speak optimistically and hope that's a good thing.
We're going to find out. But anyhow, that's one of the issues we're having. And that's everywhere. I've heard this several times crossing the state, going to different companies. The second thing I want to speak about is the cancer screening grant program that I brought to this body back in August or whenever it was. Brief history. In 2 years' time, there were 2 grant periods, total of $800,000 made available. In those 2 grant periods, grants totaling $280,000 is all that was asked for, and all of that was not spent. All the rest of the money went back to the state. Been working very diligently with Maryland Department of Health since back in April up through October of this year. And there was quite and like I brought up at the last meeting that we had with the executive committee, there was a lot of things in there that would preclude a volunteer fire company from even applying for the grants. Well, they changed everything to allow us to apply and be able to apply. The one thing they didn't do was a very good marketing program, but what I got to say is because of the executive committee that we had, meeting that we had, and we talked about that, and the efforts of the executive committee of the MSFA, and I had the same meeting with the board of directors from Maryland Fire Chiefs. The volunteer fire service this year applied for $800,000 in grants for cancer screening, far outstripping the money that was available. And it's through the efforts of these two associations this took place. In 2 years, we had one grant for a volunteer fire company. This year, Allegheny Garrett put grants in for everybody there, correct, Tim? And thank you to the executive committee member, Tim Dayton, for all the work he did on that. Washington County, Rick Hempville. Washington County was going to apply only for the career people, and the volunteers were going to be left out. The Volunteer Fire Association there convinced the county government to let them apply for everybody. So again, we got people that from our associations doing this. Frederick County, Susan Mott, I was in contact with her. Frederick County had, huh? Carroll? I'm sorry, Carroll. No, I thought she said she was doing for Fred.
Carroll County.
Okay, well, I'm sorry.
Trust us.
Well,
Carroll.
okay. Hey, maybe she doesn't want to be a part of Carroll. I don't know. All I got to say is it was her efforts that got the grant package put in for the volunteers.
Yes.
And thank you to her for doing that, going back and forth on that. A lot of work went on. Southern Maryland, as far as I understand, only had one volunteer fire company that applied. So we've got some work to do down in that particular area. Cecil County applied this year for the volunteers. Kent County only had 2 companies that applied for volunteers, so we got some work to do up in there. Queen Anne County, the work of our Vice President, Bill Fouts, working through the county association in the county, got the volunteers completely covered this year. So thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Dorchester County applied for the volunteers this year and took care of all of that. So it does work. And I only know of 800,000. I don't know anything about the career side and where they went. I do know that I think it was Howard County that applied. Last year they covered volunteers and career, but they applied with a company I haven't got any contact with, so I don't know what they did this year. But we've shown that we need this money to get these grants for these screenings. Right now, if we get all the money that they appropriate, a person joining the fire service today will be 20 years in the fire service before they get screened. That's how little money we're getting, and that is unacceptable. So this is something we're working on. But just thank you to everyone. I don't know all the work everybody did. I know I talked back and forth with Chip on this. I don't know all the work that he did. But I do know there was a lot of work done, and thank you to everybody that did do it. The volunteer fire service was heard this year. Amos Distributions, you heard from the young lady with MDEM about what happened with those. I'll tell you this, the morning that they found out they had an issue, I received a phone call at 8:30 in the morning and talking with my contact there, and then dealing with Kate, our executive director, did an excellent job. She got the word out and got it spread right away, and through a lot of different effort. This time, when the money didn't show up on time, you didn't hear a whole lot about it because the word was out there that this is what's happened. It's being worked on. So the fact, people say, what do you do for me? The MSFA does an awful lot. And, it's through the efforts of just connections. People sitting in this room today talking back and forth when things happen. With that, what's coming up? We've got the Maryland Building Energy Performance Standards. You heard our lawyer speak of that now, Judge. At this time, in a nutshell, this particular standard was voted on back in 2019. And this is the first year things are taking place. So number one, it affects any building, residential or commercial, 35,000 square feet or more. That's number one. Right now, the only thing you have to do is, and this is mandatory this year, as of September the 1st, you have to turn in a report of how much energy you used in calendar 24. So whatever it took you in calendar 24 to heat and cool your building, you have to have you have to turn in a report that says that's how much it took. Starting 2026 for 2025, you have to have a certified copy of what it takes, all your energy bills for your building. The end result is the state of Maryland has decided that they're getting away and totally off fossil fuels for heating purposes. And they're starting with this right now. There are other initiatives right now. All new residential buildings have to be built and meet the electric code for electric heat, not fossil fuel heat. I don't know which year it is, but after a year, they've already determined you will not put in any more fossil fuel heat, and you will take out what you've got. And that's basically what these building performance initiatives are for right this minute. As far as replacing them, you've got from 25 to 30, and you've got to turn in all of your information. Between 30 and 35, you've got to come up with a plan of how you are going to get off of fossil fuels at a given percentage every year. And between 35 and 40, you have to have your plan for replacing all your equipment. Everything has to be out of service by 2045. So we've got a tall order here. I've just started working on this. I've requested a meeting with the president of the Senate, because the Senate is the House that actually handled this for the administration. So I'm starting with the president there to see what we can do. Are we going to get away from it entirely? I doubt that. Can we get a carve out that says that you can keep in maintenance what you got until it has to be replaced? It's probably the best we're going to get, unless something else drastically takes place. I'm just being pessimistic about it because I'm not optimistic about the future. But anyhow, that's what we're working on now. The next thing on my list, session starts January the 14th, concludes on April the 13th of 2026. There will be a fire marshal MSFA legislative meeting on Friday, January the 9th. Are we at Taylor? We will be at Taylor Avenue. This will be a pre-session meeting. We had one last year. It was very beneficial because by that time, everybody pretty much knew what they had in line and what was be going on. We heard today, I think we heard MIMS doesn't have anything, MIFRI didn't have anything, MDEM didn't have anything, you know. So we'll see how that goes forward. As far as their agenda, the president spoke on that. He talked about wanting funds for our income subtraction, our AMOS, our VCAF. If we take a look at what I've got a list of here to ask money for, those three things, it's $4.3 million. That's all. That's $4.3 million every year. It's not a one-time thing, but that's crepes. They burn that up in paper on a day's time. But anyhow, that's more or less what I've been talking about and trying to get some conversation going on in Annapolis at this time. That pretty much covers everything. As far as the legislative committee at this time, we're just trying to tie up loose ends and stuff like that.
Vice President Faust, go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, members of the executive committee, I just want you all to know how much work Mr. Phillips has done on this cancer screening bill. We were having issues in Queen Anne's County, whether we were going to do it or not, because we were running out of time. And he showed up on a Thursday and helped us at a regular meeting. And by the following Friday, we were submitted and everything was done. So, ladies and gentlemen, if anybody needs help with this, he is a phone call away, and he is dedicated on this cancer screening as well as any other cancer bill that they've come through. And Bob, on behalf of myself, I want to thank you for all the work you did for the members of Queen Anne's County with helping us get our paperwork and all straight too. And the rest of the committee does a great job. But Bob, I want to thank you personally.
No, thank you.
Rob, go ahead.
Rob Muller, President of Cecil County Firefighters Association. I also want to thank Bob as well as setting up online meetings with everybody as we were leading up to August, September, as well as the vendors that were available to really provide as much insight and information about timelines, things that were worked on. And I think that really made the difference this year, as you guys saw in the number of applicants. I think as we look forward to next year, maybe a convention doing some type of best practice or information about how easy the process is and how it can be done both as an individual department, as a county association or by county association or government association partnership, may help bring others to the table as to realize how achievable it is and how easy it is. And then the question probably is, where do we come up with the money to get reimbursed? So, but I think having that discussion and showing those best practices and successes to the other departments might draw them to pull the trigger and move forward to help get this done.
Well, thank you. At this time, I mean, we got a bill passed last year that said that a minimum of $1 million would be put into this fund each year by the governor. That was passed, a minimum. They only gave us $600,000, and my question of why, explain to me why, was you're not even using the money we're giving you. And the volunteer service isn't even using it at all. And that's the truth. It's the way it was. But it's not because we didn't want to. Nobody made it known to us. And it took effort, and it took communications. And people sitting in this room right now put time into it, and a lot of time. And we proved that the volunteer fire service has a need for it, and we spoke up. And I'm looking for them to put another $1 million into this. But that's just another, that's just day-to-day stuff there. It's not, you know, but we're working on it.
What was the date again of the preliminary Friday morning meeting?
That'll be the 9th of January.
That starts it. The first meeting will be the 9th.
January the 9th?
Yep. I have to do it from my state computer because that's where all my contacts are. So I'll be sending that out on Monday.
Okay.
That will be Tuesday, February the 10th. Yes, sir.
So on my aspect for the report, the website has been scrubbed. So that means they take all the information from last year and they archive it. And so there's nothing there right now for you to even see. So if you did have an account through MyMGA, you still have your account aspects, but all your information that you might have stored or retained to file a bill is gone. So you have to go back in and format your columns if that's what you do. I'll be updating the report in the coming weeks. Probably with Tuesday, Jason and I have a commander's meeting, so there's some things I got to add for him. And then the calendar of interest dates have been set out. That's out there, so I'll make sure you guys get a copy of that. And the big thing that we see now is since Sheriff Jackson was moved into superintendent, that moved Kevin Harris into his spot from the House side. So now the House side spot is open. So the Democratic Central Committee of those three counties will meet together and find somebody to fill that spot. Chief Phillips and I started talking when we saw that Sheriff Jackson had been moved over. And I'm sorry I saw Sheriff Jackson because I've known him for life for that. But the commander, I have not been able to talk to him because I wanted to find out what he thought about this too. But Kevin's very good. He's very supportive of public safety, so I'm glad that he's the one that was picked for the Senate side. He is a veteran of the military, so he understands what we go through. And he's been there for us, and he was also the vice chairman of the Appropriations Committee under Ben Barnes. We also know that the Speaker of the House, she is stepping down from that role, and she's going back in as the delegate for her area. So she'll retain that, but there's several names that are out there now. And we'll wait to see who fills that spot, because that is that's a big spot to fill. I don't know. I mean, I guess they're all vying for opportunities now. But, it could be somebody that we're not even thinking of, so we don't even wanna make a name yet. And then, cause that's like a revolving wolf in a sense. You go to that level, she did a lot, but, she also fought a lot. So that was a big issue there. And then, I just want to touch on the one thing about the Baltimore City getting the single stair issue. They don't follow Maryland fire code. So everybody understands that. So that to me was very surprising when Jason found that out. Had a comment about that. But that task force has not met like they're mandated to by the governor's rule. So we will see what happens, but I think that's an animal because a lot of people from Baltimore City was one of the forces that were trying to force that aspect. So with them not following Maryland law, I guess they can get that done, but that's kind of scary because the city's facing a lot of crap and a lot of issues. And Joe and I both talked because we sat all 3 days at the code review, and Baltimore City had every one of their fire inspectors and some of their investigators in those code reviews, and they've never come to anything before. So we were very surprised, and they're willing to work with us. They have a new fire marshal, and they have a new person that's responsible for the issues of the CRR, just an aspect for their buildings alone. And I was talking to one of the lieutenants, and she said that his main focus right now is all the abandoned buildings and how they're dealing with that. So, and as we know, the gentleman that was already in jail for something else has been charged with the murders of the 3 firefighters from Baltimore City. So that's an aspect that's being addressed also. But that's their whole animal is right now is that pretty much those vacant buildings. So we shall see, and that's one thing that we need to follow very much so because they're going to say if Baltimore City can do it, the rest of the state can do it, and that's kind of scary. So that's on me.
Past President Cumberland.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. My report for out-of-state events was filed electronic. Just a couple of things I'd like to touch. Next year's Delaware Convention is September the 14th to the 17th at Rehoboth Beach. And West Virginia's is in Parkersburg, West Virginia. And that'll be hosted by Williamstown Fire Department, and that's August 5th through the 8th. So people can get that on their calendars so they know when those are. Pennsylvania will be out west near Pittsburgh, and Cumberland Valleys will be near Somerset, where Penn Time and some of the Pennsylvania highway safety organizations is building a big driver training, responder safety track farm, and have all kind of driver training, education, and everything. And just to tie on one thing with the responder safety, we're doing a great job with that within our own organizations. And the people we need to get to stop hitting our people on the highway is the general public. And believe me, you all know that's a major job to educate the driving public how to drive on the highway.
Okay, Harv, do you have anything? Harv, do you have anything?
Do you have anything, Harv?
I got Harv's report.
You gotta turn on his glasses.
Right behind you. Oh, here. Tell them all about it.
Okay.
Or if you want to sit here.
Okay, it's working. All right, our report was submitted electronically. I believe everybody has it. In the interest of time, I would respectfully offer to answer any questions anybody may have after reviewing the report.
Any questions for Harv or the committee? Thank you.
Try to stay on top, that's all.
Okay. Eric, do you have anything for helicopter subcommittee?
Still flying.
Thank you, sir.
Still flying.
Do you folks have anything else for us?
No, we're talking.
Anything else, gentlemen, ladies?
No.
Thank you very much. Mr. Barry, if you want to come forward, World Water.
If you all need somebody that needed to be added to the report, please let me know so I can submit their names.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me go today. I appreciate it, so I won't be down tomorrow. Short and sweet, my report's filed electronically. I won't go over the individual drills that we did over the fall. The results are in the report. One thing that I forgot to put in the report, the committee is currently in possession of a unique strainer, for lack of a better term. It's actually called a separator. It physically separates particulate matter from the water. It can be used in as little as 8 inches of water and will provide 1,500 gallons a minute. We have it on loan from the manufacturer for a reasonable amount of time, and if anybody's interested in testing it, give me a holler and I will bring it out and we'll find a nice shallow spot. But it's very well made, it's expensive, but it'll open up water sources you're not normally used to considering because they're shallow. So like I said, I will add an addendum and send that into the report about that piece. The only other thing in the report that I'll mention, there's some photographs and everything. If you follow our Facebook page, we were invited to Upper Montgomery a couple of weeks ago when they did the initial test on their new above-ground cistern, and it was very successful. We are highly impressed with this cistern. It's not the prettiest thing in the world, but at a price that is less expensive than purchasing just a 30,000 gallon underground tank, they had this thing installed and have 4 times the water. Like I said, it's a 130,000 gallon above ground cistern. The total cost was $387,000. That's installation, excavating, concrete, everything. Just to buy a 30,000 gallon underground tank, you'll pay $395,000 just for the fiberglass before anybody puts a shovel in the dirt. So you're $10,000 cheaper for 4 times the water. So we're very impressed with it. Montgomery County is looking to put 10 of these things throughout the county in the next few years, and we're going to promote this cistern to anybody that wants to put something in or needs to put one in. This started with Upper Montgomery because they want to build a social hall, and the county fire marshal said, well, you don't have enough water on site for a sprinkler system that's required for the hall. Well, when they saw the price of a 30,000 gallon tank, they were like, well, what else is out there? And they found this because there's actually a winery in their district that has one, so they've actually already got 2 of these in their district. So, questions, comments?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That does it for today, unless there are anyone here that will not be here tomorrow and would like to report out. I'd ask the members of the executive committee, you were given a draft presented by President Simpson about key fobs. Please look at that. It'll be voted on tomorrow on the new business. That is your homework for tonight, to review that, and we'll be voting on that. For those of you that will be here tomorrow, there will be no lunch served. Once we are done, we'll be leaving, so please make sure that you eat a hearty breakfast maybe, but we've spoken to the fire company, and we've informed them we'll be out of here either before noon or around noon, so lunch will not be served tomorrow. Is the firehouse secure that we can leave it here overnight? Chief, do you know if the firehouse is secure?
I'm sure it will. I mean, it was locked up, we got here. Mr. Chairman, for the members of for anybody in here, tomorrow afternoon, Station 51, Hooper's Island, will be doing a dedication at 2 o'clock. And I brought this up earlier. When they did the Maryland Fire Rescue Memorial in Annapolis, there were 2 plaques. One was a horizontal plaque, one was a vertical plaque. The person that designed the plaques and made the original plaques is now living in Hooper's Island. And that plaque is going to be dedicated tomorrow at 2 o'clock, Station 51, to the 4 members of Dorchester County who have died and was termed a loss of duty death. Line of duty death, I'm sorry. So anybody here after our meeting tomorrow that doesn't mind riding for about 35 minutes. To the southern part of the county, everybody's been invited. I want to bring that up. But you go down there for the dedication, and knowing Hooper's Island, you're going to get some real fine seafood down there also. So just put that on your calendars for tomorrow if you don't have to leave right away. Thank you, sir.
Okay, any other questions, comments, or concerns? We'll go to the chaplain and have him send us on our way.
Okay, let us pray. Father God, as we depart to our hotels, our homes, or any other places of our travel, please get us there safely, O Lord. And we would like to thank you for your blessings upon us to our committee chairs and our committee reports. Please keep all these chairs and committees, keep them keen and motivated to the making of this great MSFA a strong and wonderful organization that works hard for the state. We remember, as the Bible tells us, we can do all things in you. In your name, amen.
Amen. Have a motion to adjourn. Motion. Second. All in favor? Aye. See you all tomorrow. Safe travel. Yes, sir.